Dad, do we have to go to Mass every Sunday? And of course, the answer is yes, right? But I would instill in them that no, the actual answer to that is you don't have to go, you get to go. Because it's a privilege. Once you understand your faith, Sunday, receiving the Holy Eucharist, Jesus Christ, body, blood, soul, and divinity in your person, in your soul, in your physical body, and having that connection with the one true God is the highlight of your week. Many of us can't go to daily Mass. Many of us that are retired, can go to daily Mass. I'm not there yet. So it's important to have that faith. You and your wife have that faith and show that to your children, and they will get it. They will start seeing it. The most powerful thing you can do as a father is get on your knees and show your children, little boys and little girls, what men and women, real men and women of God do. And you get people that check you all the time. It happens all the time. When I was in the Marine Corps and I was at school, the Military Occupational Specialty School, 29 Palms, Marine Corps Air Ground Combat Center in this desert in 29 Palms, we had 40 guys living in a squad bay from all parts of the country, and everybody wanted to be the alpha. So we had a bunch of alphas in there, and it was constant vying for that, And people started taking the after boot camp, they started taking the left turn. They started becoming power drinkers. I realized I don't want to be a power drinker. I want to be ready at all times to defend my country and to defend myself. So I started boxing, having these smokers every month over there. And sure, we're getting pushed all the time. But again, I started to get closer to my faith. I was continuing to go to Mass, and I would pray, and I would do the sign of the cross. And some guys would try to check you, like they thought that was somehow unmasculine. So I would say, if you think, how many beers you drink measures masculinity, you got another thing coming, bro. Why don't we put the gloves on and let's show me how much of a man you are with all the beer you drink and all the prayers that you don't say. We'll see who's a real man. And as I continue to beat fellow Marines up every month, all of a sudden it was cool to do the sign of the cross and not to drink. So, thank God for that. I was 4-0 at that base there, 4-0, and they kept betting against me. I guess I didn't look like a tough guy, but I was able to, of course, with the power of God, help stand up for Jesus and show them that real men don't necessarily, become power drinkers, and real men get on their knees and pray to Jesus, and real men cross themselves. They don't care who's there. For 2 Timothy chapter 4, verses 11 through 12, command and teach these things, let no one despise our youth, but set the believers an example in speech and conduct and in love, in faith and purity. We must be an example to our youth, right? What do? There is stuff that I've seen in some parishes, in some archdioceses. I remember they had theology on tap. That was going on for a while, for many years. They have World Youth Day, young adult conferences. So encourage your young people, 19, 20 years old, to get involved in that. Encourage them. Teach them about our history, right? That we're part of a community called the One Holy Catholic and Apostolic Church founded by Jesus Christ. That our church goes right back to Jesus. That our Pope has a direct connection with the Apostle Peter. 267 men from the Apostle Peter to Pope Francis. Teach your children that. We are the original Christians. Right? Show them, I've taken my kids in front of abortion clinics, I remember taking my kids to the One Life LA. My youngest, he was like 3 years old the first time I took him. We made a sign, a little stick with a sign. And he put his little hand there, and we took a marker and we outlined his little hand. And then he put the sign up, and I put in big marker. He put his little hand, and he was holding the sign up. I put in big marker. Take my hand, not my life, with an exclamation point. And my 3-year-old is holding this up at a pro-life rally. People were like in tears. They saw the kid. Wow, what a profound message. My little son having a little thing, they're videotaping it, the news is seeing, and they're reading a sign. Take my hand, not my life. This is what your kids need to see. My son was out there last night at the Dodger Stadium. Your adult son, my 22-year-old son, got out of work early, wanted to be there, showed up. Thank God you guys let him in. He said he was my son. They let him in the emergency VIP parking. But again, they need to see these experiences. We're out there fighting the good fight, like it says in 2 Timothy, in the public square. We're all encouraged. We're fighting the good fight. Not literally fighting physically, but spiritual warfare. And we're out there, and there's a battle going on. Our young adults have baptismal birthrights. They need to know the richness of our traditions, our creeds, and our doctrines, the stories of the saints, apparitions, and the miracles that are found within 2,000 years of Catholic history. There is so much to study and so much to learn about our faith, right? I just read yesterday, right? There's the nun that started in some Midwestern town, right? I just was reading on it yesterday, right? She's been passed away for 4 years. She's the foundress of a religion. She's a nun. A black American nun, right? I believe so, that she passed away 4 years ago, and her body, they moved it. They were going to move it in the chapel, and they found that her body seems to be incorrupt. Unbelievable, here in America. So somebody that just died like 4 years ago, they expected to find bones. It takes a couple of years for you to have just bones, skin and bones. And her body is completely intact. These are the things that we need to share with our young adults, with all of our kids, right? Our young adults need to know that Jesus is more than just a carpenter, right? That he is unique, and many of us are genuinely interested in reading and understanding Scripture. My young adults are saying, Dad, let's do some more Scripture reading. I got a 22-year-old son who's saying, let's do more, Dad. Come on, let's get a whole family. We need to teach my younger son. He's seeing this. He's starting to engage. He's at 22 years old. He's starting to engage himself in the real world and know that there's all kinds of attacks out there. And he feels ill-equipped. I said, Dad, we need to step it up. You need to equip me more. We're dealing with fractured families all over the place. We all have them in our families, either our immediate family or extended family. We have brothers that haven't talked in years. We have sisters that haven't talked in years. We have parents that are not talking to their kids. This is all sin. This is the devil working to destroy our families. His strategy is to divide and conquer. We need to ask for forgiveness. We need to be the peacemakers. We need to say, I'm sorry to the people we've offended. And we need to again unite. That's how we're going to defeat the enemy, right? Teach our young people to pray, right? Teach and expose your kids to the rich tradition of our prayers. There is no more powerful prayer than the holy sacrifice of the Mass. Learn the theology, learn the apologetics, learn the catechesis as men so you can pass that on to your children. Learn things like the rosary with your family, the Divine Mercy Chaplet, adoration before the Blessed Sacrament. A lot of people have never experienced that. You go to a holy hour with a good holy priest, and all of a sudden you're doing prayers in front of Jesus in the monstrance. Most people have never experienced that. You need to encourage your pastor. Let's do this once a month, Pastor. Encourage him. He wants to feed the flock. Any good priest does. Terry Barber is so good at that. People cannot argue with your testimony. If somebody opens up to you at the cooler or on your job or something like that, and they see you doing the sign of the cross, just tell them, hey, what did you do this weekend? Oh, I went to the Holy Sacrifice of the Mass. It was awesome. We went to a prayer rally at Dodger Stadium. I think we did a really good job. Mention those things. People might say, yeah, really? I heard about that. I'm a Catholic too, and you encourage them. But you do your testimony. You're not trying to argue or persuade. There's nothing to argue or persuade. If you just said, God has changed my life. God is changing my life. I'm going back to Mass, and it's making a difference. I see. I'm in a process right now, and I'm reaching out to God. You share these things, your own testimony with people, and people will relate. People, that's how we evangelize, by your own personal testimony. We're not looking for arguments. We're looking just to share what has happened in our lives. That's beautiful. And Terry Barber is an expert at that. People of faith have an advantage. We wake up with a purpose in our lives. We need to instill this in all our family members. What is the purpose of life? To make a lot of money and see how many chicks we can be with. No, that's for losers on their way to hell. You do your best with your talents, yes. Make as much money as you can, but understand the real, what money is. You're supposed to use money and love people. Use money, love people. Most people have it the other way around. Love money and use people. That's a recipe for hell. Love money, use people. We have it the other way around. We love people and use money. Make as much money as you can as long as your life is in balance. Number 1 is God. Number 2 is your family. Number 3 is your career in making money. In that order. If that's out of order, you're on dangerous ground, right? What's the purpose of life? To know, love, and serve God in this world, and to prepare to be with Him in the next world. Children love what they learn. If a child lives with criticism, he learns to condemn. If a child lives with hostility, he learns violence. If a child lives with ridicule, he learns to be shy. If a child lives with shame, he learns to feel guilty. If a child lives with praise, he learns to appreciate. If a child lives with fairness, he learns justice. If a child lives with security, he learns faith. If a child lives with approval, he learns to love himself and like himself. If a child lives with acceptance and friendship, he learns to love the world. That's why it's so important to instill these values into the children right now that are not getting them. So many children are not getting them. Teach your children that faith is what makes life worth children. Hope is the power that gives a person confidence to step out and take on the day, knowing that God is with him. The purpose of life is to know, love, and serve God in this world and be prepared to be with him in the next. I don't care how old they get. My parents still blessed me when I was an older man. They would still bless me. I would ask for their blessing when I would especially go somewhere, ask for their blessing. God taught Moses and the Israelites how to bless their children. It's in Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 to 27. Lord said to Moses, say to Aaron and his sons, thus this is how you shall bless the people of Israel. You shall say to them, the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord will lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. You shall put my name upon the people of Israel, and I will bless them. He who fears the Lord will have a happy end. Even on the day of his death, he will be blessed. The exact opposite of blessing is to condemn, curse, or damn, which is what that witch was doing up there. This is what evil people do to other people. They condemn, they do hexes and curses. We as Christians want to offset the verbal pollution of our culture by blessing our children.